Welcome to this series for new players for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. And in this video, we're going to be talking about construction, which is a very big component of Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. And a key skill that all new players are going to need to learn if they intend to build a strong self-sufficient economy. Now, this video is going to consist of three main parts. The first part, we're going to talk about how to construct roads and use that as an example of how the basic principles of construction work. And in the second part, we'll be looking at the construction of buildings, and I'll go through a couple of tips and tricks that can speed up that process. And in the final phase, what I want to do is talk about what is often referred to as construction specialization. And in that section, I will also talk about this construction offices assignment tool, which is probably one of the most useful tools that you can have when you're actually constructing buildings or anything in the game. Now, I'm aware that this video could get quite long and it could get a bit involved, so there will be timestamps available to take you to relevant sections of the video. So that out the way, what we're going to do is get started. We're going to get started with the real basics, and that is, where is the construction offices? Well, come to the bottom right here, it says construction industry. Come in here, come to the left, you see there's a little bar that separates itself, three icons. The first icon is the construction office that we'll be focusing on in this video, which is how to build roads and buildings. The next one across is a kind of variant of the first one, where you actually have a helicopter construction office, and the difference is that the materials are actually delivered using helicopters. Now, I'm not going to talk about this simply because once you understand the basics of constructions, this is just a more advanced concept of the first one. And the final one in this group is rail construction offices, which again I'm not going to talk about. I will deal with those in a separate video when we actually talk about railways. So going back to the first one, you see that there's actually two construction offices available. The first one is the one that we'll be using quite a lot of. This is the standard one. This provides 12 vehicle slots, 2 delivery slots, and we're just going to place that down because I want 2 construction offices for this project. And we're just going to build this, just get it underway, let the game run, build this construction office in. If we go back over here again, now there's another one here which is a free construction office. This was added as part of the realistic mode update, which was the Metro update. And what this does is it allows you to put in a construction office for free, and it has got some uses, but beyond just starting up in realistic mode. Whoops, I can't do that because I don't have enough money. I'm just going to build the road there. Now, the reason I've built this office is, one, for comparison between the two. Also, I'm going to be using this as part of the example on building. So what we've now got is 3 construction offices. Now, if I show you this one, I haven't assigned anything yet, but you can see this one's actually got fuel in it. And if you are working with construction offices, what you do want to do is get fuel in as quickly as possible. Now, the free one doesn't have a fuel option, and also it's got auto thing. I'm just going to turn off all the auto detects. I really wish that the auto detect was off by default, because it can be a bit of a pain in the neck. And for the purposes of this video, I don't need it because I need to control what is actually being built. Now, I'll just talk very briefly about auto construct. It can be useful, but what it's really tied to is specialization, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on. And the problem with auto build is if I just click it on very quickly, what you see, it's got a range. Now, you can set it for, say, to pick up roads and footpaths and factory connections, which is normally the mode that I use. I don't tend to use it for buildings because I do a lot of advanced planning. And if you plan lots and lots of buildings, you can, well, let me just switch it on again just to show. What you see is it's picked up all the unfinished roads and all that. And if I put on buildings, what it will do now is pick up all the flats over here eventually. And then you just got there, it's just picked them up now. It takes a little while sometimes. And you can see we've got all this, and it's just too much, especially when you're first starting out. So I just turn it off, and then you have to delete the jobs manually. So we're just going to get back to there. So what we've got now is our 3 construction offices. And what I want to start with is we're going to have a little bit of a race, which will both describe the general principles of building, and also I want to just give you a comparison of between the we could call 3 building modes. So we're just going to accept that. Now we're going to start in this office here, and the first thing we're going to need to do is set up our connections. And what I'm going to do now is just show you how you can do it individually. This office needs gravel and asphalt because it's actually going to build. Now, another way that you can assign to a construction office all these here is that if you just click on this, and if I click on the custom shed, what you'll see is these will automatically all be filled in. Now, this can also work with an open store or a warehouse because the game knows what that building can deliver to your construction office. So this one here is going to be our building construction office. This is going to be our road construction office. And this one is going to have a very specific role. We're going to pick up workers from here and just gravel for the moment. So we now got the assignments to the office. Now the next thing we're going to do is just buy necessary. Now in this one, I'm going to buy a bulldozer. Now if I put the cursor over the bulldozer, what you see is that all construction vehicles have a road speed and also what you'd call a construction speed. So for this bulldozer, it's got a maximum road speed of 20 kilometers an hour and a construction speed of 28. If I go to the excavators, you can see the excavator that we're going to be using has got a road speed of 18 kilometers and an actual excavator construction speed of 33. So comparing that with the bulldozer, the excavator should be quicker, but that is not necessarily true. Anyway, so we're just going to come back to here, and what I'm going to do is buy 2 dumpers so that this race will be compatible. In here, we're going to put an excavator with 2 dumpers, like that. And then in here, we're going to put a bus and 2 dumpers. So effectively what we got here for these 3 roads is 3 construction mode. So it's going to be building a gravel road with a bulldozer, one with an excavator and one with a bus. And what I'm going to do is just pause the game while I do the assignment. And we'll just come into here, just make sure assign that to the second one and the third one. Now another thing you can do is if you click on a construction office, it will always highlight in green whatever jobs it's working on. So if we flip there, you can see this one's there. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to let the game run. And what you see now is the first thing that happens is that the dumpers move out. The reason for that is that all gravel roads require gravel. Nothing else will happen until the first delivery of gravel arrives. And what we can see is we need 33 tons of gravel delivered to here. And of course up here it says missing resource, missing mechanism, because at the moment that will show until the first delivery arrives. Now the purpose of this test is to demonstrate the different speeds of construction, also especially when it comes to workers. So we've got the first delivery, and in here what you see now is now the first delivery's arrived. You can see the excavators come. Why is that? And the bus is gone now. And then once we get the third delivery, what you should see is then we've now got the bulldozer. So at the moment the excavator's ahead purely because the queue down here. You can see the bus is quite happily in the queue, and what he's going to be doing is picking up these foreign workers, which are in red. And what you see is the moment the excavator's in the lead, but keep an eye on the bulldozer. And what you can see here is that the dumpers are filling up this up here. What's the capacity of these dumpers? 12. I'm not exactly sure why he's gone back to the depot. And what you'll see is that the bus is now arrived. And if I kind of click on all 3 now, like that, what you'll see is that the workers are pushing forward because we got we've got 26 workers on site. When you've got workers, the number of workers makes a difference to the construction speed. And we can also see here that workers actually work a shift where you can see is the excavator and the bulldozers keep working all the time as long as they've got resources to lay. But you can also see, if we cancel that, that despite starting after the excavator, the bulldozer has now gained against the excavator. So despite the fact that from a work speed relationship, again, just to show, this has actually got a construction speed of 28 compared to a construction speed of 33. When it comes to building roads, the bulldozer is actually faster. Now, we've now just had a delivery of workers in here. Now, what I want to show you is we pick up an individual worker. What you'll see is that workers when workers only work an 8-hour shift. So though we got 50 workers here, and this is going forward a lot faster, what you'll see is that as soon as the 8 hours is up, which is just coming up, they all disappear very, very quickly, because as their 8-hour shifts all finish. And then once the last one works, what happens then, it comes up and says there's no mechanism. This is probably a pretty good example of the fact that when it comes to building roads, because of course with buildings you will need workers, is that you don't really want to use workers when building roads. And when I say building roads, that's gravel roads and asphalt roads, simply because they're very inefficient. So what we got here is really a road crew setup, which is why I've actually called it Polo Road Crew. If you want to set up a road crew that's going to build a lot of roads, use a bulldozer. But I'll be completely honest, my preferred choice is actually to use excavators, because they're a lot more versatile, especially when money's tight. I'm just going to cancel that road because he's never going to build it. So you just get that there. Now, the other thing also with respect to gravel roads, these are what you could call a single pass construction. I was basically the vehicles deliver the goods and then the workers come in. Now, if we go to an asphalt road, which is the next one, doesn't have to be exact because we're only going to build it. What you see with an asphalt road is that when you now get a breakdown in the fact that the job is now being split into two. So the line at the bottom says resources needed to finish the entire construction is 32 tons of gravel and 24 tons of asphalt. But what you'll see is that the line above says resources needed to finish the current phase laying gravel is 116 work days and 32 gravel, which is the equivalent of laying the gravel road is. So if we now come into here, and what we need to then to build an asphalt road, we need a paver and a roller, and also we need to buy them as well, actually. But we also need another important vehicle, which is, and what you need to do is come into here, click on this, and see this little question mark up here. This will tell you which open holes are capable of carrying the paver, but I know for a fact that the paver and roller can both be carried by a where's the open hole? This SKD 706. So come in here. Now the next thing you want to do is click this at the little checkbox at the top. It says deliver mechanisms only with trucks, and just make sure that we've got asphalt assigned. And what we're going to do now is just click on here, let the game run, and again what you see is exactly the same as last time. These got the first movement is the dumpers to deliver the gravel to here, and of course down here there's going to be nothing going on at the moment with the fact. I think what we will do is we kind of finished with this, so give him one. Actually, we'll give him both, because truthfully what you need in a road construction office is quite a lot of excavators, because you're going to be moving a lot of gravel and asphalt around. It's also worth noting that while these guys are just getting underway, actually what you can see now is that once you get the first delivery, the bulldozer is now being delivered by truck. You can see that This truck now, with a capable top speed of 62 kilometers an hour, can move these vehicles around a lot quicker. And that is a big factor as you move further and further away from where your construction office is. You can, and also having bulldozers and excavators and pavers traveling on your main roads will actually slow up the overall speed. This is also the reason why you put fuel into a construction office, because what happens now is, I don't know if this guy, how much fuel this guy's got. He's got a fuel tank because we got fuel in there. Now, what I will say is that once a mechanism like a bulldozer has been assigned to a construction job, it will stay there until the job is actually finished. It won't disappear if it runs out of fuel. When you're building roads, trying to get them a reasonable amount of length, and you can save a bit of money with the fuel as well. So what we've got here is just building up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait for these guys to finish the first phase here. Then we'll come back once we move to the next phase. So the bulldozer is just about to finish the first phase. If I show you here. Now, this gives the impression that there's only 2 steps to building an asphalt road. But as you see, once the bulldozer finishes here, and then what will now happen is that the dumpers will now go and get the asphalt. With this phased approach, and this applies to roads and buildings, the materials for the next phase will not be delivered until the first phase is actually finished. But what you'll see is that once the dumpers go out, the paver is delivered now. So although this gives the impression that it's only one more phase to do, but it's actually 2 phases. You can see now it says that we've got 116 work days, 24 tons of asphalt, and the phase is laying asphalt. Now, if you actually watch, what happens is the truck will come in here and attach to the paver. And then what you'll see also is that another truck will queue up here. So at the moment, we've got 2 trucks waiting here to actually deliver all the asphalt. And you can see now what's going to happen is we've now got a 3rd one. Besides the fact that the animation looks quite cool, there's one thing you need to be aware of, that if you're building multiple asphalt roads, and this is one of the risks of auto detection, what can happen is that, say for example we're building up here, what can happen is that you will have the paver up here waiting for deliveries of asphalt, and you can have a queue of asphalt trucks down here like this waiting for the paver. And effectively what they do is they get locked, because the paver won't leave the job until it's finished, and these trucks won't leave the job until the paver shows up. If that happens, just find the job where the paver is and then suspend it, and then the paver will be teleported back to the construction office, and then hopefully it will get reallocated to another area. Now the paver's just finishing here, so what I want to do now is show you the fact you can do an upgrade, and we'll just allocate this guy here like that, because this job is nearly finished. This will deliver more asphalt, and also there's another reason why I'm actually upgrading. And you can see now what we've got is a roller. Now what the roller will do is, if we actually follow the progress, you can see it doesn't need any resources beyond workers, but it doesn't need workers because it's automated. What the roller will do is go all the way to that end and then come all the way back. And you can see we've now got the paver coming in here, working in tandem with respect to this area here. So what we're doing here is actually upgrading. The reason I wanted to upgrade this is to show you this, that it says resources needed to finish the entire construction: 33 tons of gravel and 20 tons of asphalt. The gravel is not needed, but it can be a bit misleading when you're actually doing an upgrade. So that's the reason why. Anyway, so the next thing I want to show you is we're going to come in here and we're actually going to build a panel road. Now this road was introduced as part of the metro upgrade. I think there's a few people who will say that it's not really that necessary. What we're going to do, and again, what you see now, this is a 2-step process with, again, 33 tons of gravel and 33 tons of pavers. Now the reason we're building this road here is to give you an example to show you how the mechanics work, and this mechanic will also apply to buildings and other ways that you can upgrade things. So what we're going to come in here, and at the moment you can see at the moment this is not being built, but if I add prefabs to here like this, It's a mistake that you could make by assuming that by just adding prefabs to this construction office, you can automatically build this road. But it's got a little bit of a sting in the tail. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is just let this build up. While this is actually the gravel's being laid, I want to show you the other roads that are available. One is this type of road. This is street lighting. You can see you actually get a side pavement alongside it. And the other one is trolley buses, which is similar to the street lighting, but it's got overheads. And then probably one of the biggest road projects you can build is actually a tram track. Now, if I accept all these, what I'll show you is this one just needs a little bit of steel and electronics. But remember, it's being laid on an asphalt base, so you can still get the 30 odd tons of gravel and 24 tons of asphalt. This one looks the same, but what it's actually got is an extra couple of stages in it. And this one also here is very much the same as well. But the tram track, I think, actually needs about 5 passes. And probably the best way to actually demonstrate that while this is still being built. And what I will say is that I don't recommend just building these roads from scratch. It's a far more efficient way to do it is to actually build the asphalt bed first. Then if you want to build this in, come into here. And what you'll see is that it actually comes up here. And the requirement now is steel and electronics and a little bit of asphalt. And this is where this construction office comes in. So what you can do is we're going to need, I don't want covered holes, I want some open holes. We're going to get an open hole to deliver the equipment. We're also going to need a covered hole to deliver the electronics. And oh, the other thing we're also going to need is a road crane. And then if I assign you to that one. Now coming back to the panel road, you see we're now delivering the panels. And what you see now is the game is saying no workers or mechanisms. So to build a panel road, you actually need this vehicle here. So what we got to do is assign that. And we actually need workers. And if we keep an eye on this one, you see we need steel, electrodes. We deliver the gravel, deliver the electro components. And what we should get in here is the steel. And again, what you'll see is it won't build it, despite the fact that it's saying that it's got there. It says no mechanism, because of course we need a bus. I'm just going to put a bus in there. And as far as I know, this is a sign. What you'll see now, but what I want you to do is, and what we're going to do also is put in a road crane in here. And what you see is the road crane has now arrived here to do the upgrade. We can also add a road crane to here. But you see the road crane won't do anything until this is actually being built. So if you imagine you're building this road from scratch, you've had 3 passes to lay the asphalt road, and now you've got the final pass here to actually put in the overheads. There's, and you can see, and the road cranes actually speeds up the number of workers. So you can see we've got 2 workers, but it's still going there quite well. If we come to this one, what you'll see again is that it's waiting for the buses to turn up. And what you'll see now is this guy will get a bit of a crack on and get going. And you can see it's now finished the steel framing, and that's that got done there. And just for completeness, what I'll do is I'll very quickly build upgrade a tram track. And what we're going to have to do is assign you. And again, what you've got here, see, because this free office doesn't have fuel, this truck has to come all the way down to here. This is a good example of why you want to put fuel into a construction office. So I'll probably get rid of this. Don't need this now. And of course we don't need these as well, because we're not going to build them. Tidy up the map a little bit. And what you will see now is we're still getting some, we got the gravel, we got electronics, and we've now got this here. Actually, we're still waiting for gravel. You can now see it says the mechanism now stopped, and now the bus has gone out, the crane has come over. But you can see here what we're actually doing is the steel framing. So we haven't quite done everything left now. So again, imagine we've done 3 passes to build the asphalt. We're now doing the steel framing, which would be the 4th pass. Bus is just coming in. And we're now doing this. This should go quite quickly. Hurry up. So we've now completed the thing. So this mechanisms are stopped. We still need some steel and some electronics. Complex built structures, whether it's a road or a building, the synchronization between deliveries and workers becomes quite important. And getting the right vehicles in, and the game can be a little bit random from this perspective. You can see, so we've now just delivered electrode components. We still need some steel. So this is a pretty good example of the level of complexity that the game will. Of course, we've now got the materials, but we still don't have the workers. So we now need the workers to come in. Actually, while we're waiting for the bus, I think what we'll do is get the road crew on that. And of course, footpaths are built in exactly the same way as gravel roads. We've now got this here, and what you'll see is that the steel framing is actually being built, and we're just going to come through here, and that's it. We've built a tram line, and of course we've got the electrical connectors there. And what we're going to do now is just move these over. As an aside, if you watch the earlier video, I put these 2 excavators in here to be able to level ground. Construction offices fulfill the same role. If you've got a construction office with excavators actually inside, you can get free leveling. But if those excavators go out on a job, then you don't get the free leveling. So out up here, we're now building this area here. You can see we're actually getting the delivery of the various components. I think what we probably need here is a second open hole. We'll just get another open hole in here so that we can deliver the goods. So that brings our first section to an end. We covered basic building and the things you need to consider, and of course a road building. And just to recap, that this setup here is ideal for building gravel and asphalt roads, and this is the type of construction office that you could put on auto detect and just leave it to its own devices. Now in the next part we're going to start talking about buildings, and what I've done is I've set up a kind of 3 scenarios here. The first one is this bus platform that we're currently building the roads into. The next one is a gas station over here, and then finally over here I've got an oil refinery, which I need to build that road as well. I was going to use it as an example for road building, but I don't think it's necessary. Now we're going to start with the gas station because I want to show you a little bit of a trick that you can do, and that is if I assign the road crew to the gas station, what you'll see is this gas station needs concrete, gravel and asphalt. So what you can do now is if I add a concrete mixer to the road crew, so this is kind of a sneaky extension to the role of a road crew, and this is a first hint at specialization. What you'll find now is if we watch this building up here, in fact I can extend this to no I won't, because it will just detract from this experiment. So you can see what we're now getting is the asphalt and gravel, and of course we need some concrete delivered as well. And then what should happen is that if we've got a free excavator down here, what should happen is the excavator will leave here. And let me just check up here what we got quite happily building up here, and you can see the roller is doing the end-to-end run. So we've nearly finished these roads here, and there's the first clue. So we've now got the excavator is now got packed onto this open hole, and what's going to happen is he's going to get brought up to here, and you can see all the resources have been delivered. This is one way that you can get your building construction a little bit more efficient, although really it's strictly not necessary for every building. What you find now is that this excavator will do the groundworks as described here, and will take up 83 days, so it doesn't need workers. However, if you've got a construction office that's got a bus in, the bus will be sent up here automatically. So what we're going to do is just build out the last 37 odd days, and we go back to here. Now, as far as I can remember, we have steel in here. No, we haven't got steel assigned. And what will happen now is this will, once this finishes this construction phase, it says missing resource steel. Now, what I'm going to do is just flip out the bus out of here, there, and we're just going to now assign this to here, and I think we could probably do with a couple more open holes in here as well, alongside the excavators. And we've got a road crane in here. The other thing that you can put into here is a tower crane. Now, a tower crane will only move if it can be carried. This is why you certainly need an open hole that will cover it. With a tower crane, you don't really need to click this, but what I prefer to do is actually do this. And it's also worth noting that the game has got the intelligence to say, well, these need to be working. There's missing bus or transport or workers. So what's happened is we've now delivered up to here, and you'll see that it says missing no workers or mechanism. The reason for that is that you can't actually build anything without workers. So just to show you that, we will now assign this office to it as well. And what will happen is come up here, and what will happen is the workers will come up here, work away quite happily, spend 54 days. Now while that's happening, what I'm going to do is we've built all the roads here, so the road crew is not busy. Now I'm just going to show you a repeat of what we can do with this. Well, I've just done with the gas station, but with respect to this oil refinery out here. Now, this is where the technique I put in here comes into being a bit of an advantage, in the fact that to do the groundworks, you can see the initial groundworks is going to take 2,530 work days, which is a lot. Now, of course, it's going to take a long time to haul all the concrete out here. But if you get an excavator out here, things can work. Also, if you see here that this building has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slots here. Now, I'm going to do something that's a little bit sneaky, just to kind of emphasize what you can do. And one of the advantages of having access to free construction offices, and that is if I come into here, I'll put a free construction office here. Press Control, put you there, and of course the other thing we're going to need is a free gas station. That in free one. I want the free one. I'll put the free gas station in. Press Control, and I'll put that there. That's been built, but of course we need fuel in it. Let me just get some fuel into it. And now I'm aware that this is going to be quite an extreme example, but I just want to emphasize how things can be worked. So we've now built a gas station up here, and I suppose we can put some fuel in that as well. Get going. 30% fuel. So what we've done with the gas station is gone through the steps that are required to build a small building, and you can see we need workers. Now what I'm going to show you over here is if we come to here and we sign this actual construction office here, and if I zoom in and click on it, what you'll see is that you actually start to get workers coming in here. Even though I have this construction office doesn't actually have a bus assigned to it. And this is a little bit of a trick you can do if you're building within walking range of a city, is that anybody in here that's got nothing to do will come to here to actually contribute with the working. But there's a little bit of a wastage in the sense that at the moment they've got nothing to do, because of course we need to actually deliver the the concrete out. I don't think we've actually got a concrete mixer in here, have we? I need a concrete mixer, and we have a covered hole in here. We've got a covered hole, concrete mixer, tower crane, a couple of open holes. So we've now got a spread. Probably don't for the purposes of this, we probably don't need that, because we're controlling it. Now, before we go up and see what's going on, I will say that I think you could write books on what is the perfect profile for a construction office. And of course, you're very restricted with 12 slots here. But if I switch on the modding, the input favorites in here, and now if we actually look at the construction office now, what you'll see is that there are mods that will give you a complete range of things. I mean, the 32 is really nice if you're into really building heavy construction, which is something like the oil refinery over there. So just take that off again so that stay fair. Now what we'll see is we've now got this here, and what you see is we've got one actual excavator here. Now what I'm going to do is just give you an idea. Now I accept that this is completely artificial. Get rid of view again, just assign the oil refinery, and then what I'm going to do is parachute in. We've got how many excavators? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 excavators. Now it's important you have the gas station, because these guys will wander off if they don't have access to a gas station nearby. But you can see that they will go into here, and eventually what will happen is this will slowly fill up with excavators, and you can see with a really big project like this, the more excavators you've got, the faster things will go. It's also worth noting that the fuel will eventually drop down here. What we've now got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 excavators working in here, which will speed this project forward a lot quicker. Now if we come back over to here, our little bus platform, what you'll see is that at the moment we need concrete and steel, so these are still waiting for a delivery. Why aren't you? You should be delivered still, shouldn't you? Yep. Why are you not? Obviously this has probably got enough steel on it to complete the job. No. Yes it is. And you see we've effectively done the groundwork, so now we're pouring the concrete, and we're just waiting for the steel to come in. You can see, so quite a lot of buildings have 3 steps, which is the groundworks, which is done by the excavator. Then you've got the pouring the concrete, which actually needs the workforce to it. As far as I know, there is no vehicle which will fill that gap. Yes, it is. Oh, yep. Sorry, it's going to correct me. And you can see straight away that that's now finished. So we're now on the last stage, which is steel framing. And again, we've got these workers sat around because they're waiting for steel. But you can also see that the construction crane is still there, quite putting things in. But we didn't actually use this. So let me just go back and show you over here. So these guys are still waiting for concrete. Of course, the problem now is the fact that what's happening now is I've got so many excavators in here, they're getting ahead of our concrete. So again, this is another reason why when you're setting up large-scale construction, you need to think a little bit about balance. At the same time, don't be too obsessed with it. I mean, the game gets there eventually, one way or another. See the workers are actually coming into here. And we should just be about to finish this bit here. I don't know how many tons of steel he's going to drop off. But you can see with the road crane, it moves forward very, very quickly. So we've now built the bus platform, and we've now got students in there. Bus platforms always turn off everything except the workers, because unless of course you want your students or your other passengers to go somewhere else, otherwise they just come and stand here and get lost. Now the last part I want to show in this is we're actually going to build a residential block. This may look like a duplicate of this area here, and of course we're going to need to do the groundworks first. But what I am going to do now is, if we have any spaces in it, I'm going to sign this bus platform in here. It says asphalt without source, yes, but we're not expecting you to deliver asphalt. I want you to deliver workers. But what I'm going to do is actually set this out to this platform up here. And what should happen is, oh, do we have workers in here? I hope we don't have workers in it. But the moment the bus is not being summoned on, so we need to wait for a delivery here. And of course we've got workers working here, actually putting together, doing the actual groundworks. It's the reason why the mechanical excavator, I think if there's one available, doesn't often get delivered. See, it's now actually woken up. The game can lag a little bit like that. But what you see here is this is now reporting that this has no workers at this station. And that can be a problem, because if you haven't got workers in the building, say you were building out here, what the game won't move forward with respect to delivering equipment and things like that. It will sit there until you've actually got workers in this platform here. Now the reason that there's no workers here is simply down to the fact that, one, they're all probably in here anyway because they can walk there, so they don't actually need to come to the bus platform here to seek work. Quite often what happens is when you've got unemployment, the unemployed people will come here seeking work, especially if a construction office is assigned to it. So at the moment you see these guys are doing nothing because there's nothing to anyone to pick up from. But what you can do is force it. If you come here and add that, what will happen is that you will eventually force all the workers in here. All 151 of them will come to here. And what you'll see is you've got that there now. And what you see straight away, now there's workers on the platform. They will now come up here, and quite ironically they will come up here, pick them up and take them to this job here. So we got the workers there, and if we follow that bus round, follow him round, he will go there. The other thing with this residential block, you can see that vehicles will drive along the footpaths for construction purposes. And of course it's a bit hard to see. In fact, what I'll do is flip this again, sorry guys, put you onto there. Now we've shown that we can't pick the workers up here. I'm probably ruining the city, so I'm just going to cancel that. And what we'll do is we'll pick the foreign workers up, just so that we get a contrast between the red and black, to show you that you get a mixture here of workers. And you can see we're actually moving forward, and we need prefabs and all sorts of stuff coming in. Over here, I mean, this is moving forward very slowly, but you can see the problem at the moment here is delivery. So with a big building like this, you actually do need some quite strong delivery, especially at the distance. But we'll come back to that in the final section. So I just want to show you if we can. Right, we've got a bus coming up now. So we now got buses arriving. Perfect timing. I pause. What you'll see now is This building is being built by a mixture of local workers and foreign workers. So if you were busing people in, you'd get a mixture of the two working together here, which is one of the reasons why sometimes when you've got a construction in a town, you seem to have a lot more workers than what the buses are capable of delivering, and that's the reason why. But you can see it will actually move the project forward very, very quickly. And I think we've covered everything really to do with constructing buildings. As I say, just to round up, be very, very wary about when you create your first bus platform, and you can use it as a pickup point for workers, because if the workers don't come here because there's no unemployment, then your buses won't go and attempt to pick up people, and that will stall your construction. Also, when you're building major projects, be aware of capacity, in the sense that you've got to match your numbers of excavators with the amount of speed that you're actually being delivered. And of course, you've got this little dodge here, which doesn't work in realistic mode, but can be used quite effectively when you're in this mode, where you can just put down a free construction office, drop loads of excavators or whatever vehicle you want in there. Make sure you put a fuel tank. I think that winds up this section on building. And what I want to do now is talk a bit about specialization. Now, I've already done a certain amount of specialization here. And if we get rid of these over here, get rid of these roads, we don't need them. Whoops. Now, specialization is, I think if you ask any experienced player, they've all got their ideas on what specialization actually is. Now, the most simplest level, specialization comes down to effectively having a road crew that's completely dedicated to building roads. And as I say, you can then just switch on the auto detect and let them go out there and do their own thing. Also, you can have a construction office that just builds buildings and doesn't contain pavers or bulldozers. Specialization can be extended well beyond that, because again, if you've got big buildings like this, you can see the big issue here is concrete. And what you can do, I'll do it with a free office, because it's because I don't really want to come in here. So say we put another free office in here and just build the road in. Then we put in sign concrete to there, come into here, and put in concrete mixers. 1, 2, 3, 4 concrete mixers. Yeah. And what we can do is assign that there. This form of specialization is simply down to the fact that what you're doing now is saying, right, I want this construction office. You can do it at a bigger scale with 12, and this will just contain concrete mixers. And what that means is that for big projects like this, you can turn that construction office onto a big project like that. That will ensure things are going. Also, you can see here that to build this was going to need 300 tons of steel. Well, a couple of open holes in here aren't going to cut it. So what you can do is extend this idea a little bit further by coming out here, and we can build another one. And then in here we can do it manually so it's clear. And start steel, bricks, prefabs and boards, because these are the ones that are doing. And then what we'll do then is come in here and we're 4 of those. So you can keep going, building whatever combination you are. I have seen a YouTuber, I won't mention them, who's literally, when they get really carried away, they have big offices like that full of open holes, full of dumpers, full of concrete mixers. And they have a separate construction office like this that just contains cranes, tower cranes, and what you could call the actual construction equipment and excavators. And so they kind of specialize out completely. Now, one of the problems with this is how do you assign all this? And this is something that I haven't really talked about so far, simply because I wanted to do it in this section. Now, one way you can do this is actually click on this little icon here. What this will do is list all the available construction offices within range. So you can go through here and you see the bar at the top. You can see at the moment the refinery needs steel and mechanical components. And what we can do then, and if you look across here, it kind of tells you what it is. So you can add that, and this will turn green and it will go like that. So this is one way you can assign offices. The other way, you can see they've now finished this bit here. And what we can do now, and the other way you can do it is the way I've been doing it. It's like that. Now there is another way which is very, very useful, and this comes down to this tool here, the construction office assignment tool. What I suggest is that if you want to use this, add it to this bar up here, and to add it to the bar, all you've got to do is open this bar up, and then I think I've already done it, but if we go down a level, come here and then just click in and put it on there. You can see you can only assign it once. And that means that you can hotbar it by pressing the first key. Now the next thing you can do is come in here. If you see it says assign a construction office, then what you can do is do this, and it adds all the construction offices to a list, which can give you coverage. And then what you can do is come up here now, and then you can so we need to flip it to there. And of course, even with this tool, you get the same highlighting as with a normal construction office. And what you can do then is just click there. What that does is assign the 3 construction offices that you want to use. What we should do is come here, go to there, and assign to there as well. That now gives us a full range. And the configuration I tend to like is come here, then I put the road crew on 2. You can use it to assign 1 road crew. What it means is that what you can do is come in here, press 1 to get the hotkey, press 2 to select it, and then perhaps we got it done there. And of course, what you can do is actually cancel as well, just to confuse the game completely. And you can do it, and you can see this little bit of footpath here is just too short. The game isn't interested, so just remove that. So I think that covers specialization and the construction office assignment tool. So I think this is where I'm going to leave it. Hopefully this has covered construction enough to give you confidence to jump into the mechanic. It's very rewarding to build your own buildings, and as I said, it's key to building a truly self-sufficient economy. Now, what I will say is any questions, any comments, feel free to chuck it in the video description. And until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.